This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to Locked On Bets as we begin the month of July and get through this month, and then football's coming up in August. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling with you as we thank you for making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports, and Lee, very excited for today's slate. We'll get to yesterday's results in just a moment, but let's go right out of the gate with the blowout.
Oh boy, last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Major League Baseball tonight, the Diamondbacks and the Giants out in Arizona. Diamondbacks won last night. They bounced back from getting swept by the red-hot Marlins at home, and now they send out one of their aces, Zach Gallen, to the mound this evening against San Francisco. But, however, Lee Sterling sees a prop that he likes with Zach Gallen. So, Lee, what do you like with Gallen on the hill this evening?
Well, I'm going to come out hot here, Kevin, and this will, hint, hint, be probably one of my plays for my clients. Looking at Arizona pitcher Zach Gallen, the over-under on his strikeouts is 5.5 minus 145. Now, what I do when I'm watching baseball games, any game, even if it's a game that I'm not betting on, I take notes. That's one of the things, because it comes back in every sport. There's going to be situations, could be in baseball, the next start, football, the next game, or sometimes later in the season, you see something and something you wrote down or take notes on your phone, it can come into play later in the season. So I'm watching him, and he is all over the place. He's not just missing sometimes. He's missing by a half a foot and a foot. He only has one quality start in his last 10. He's given up 4 or more runs in each of the last 8 starts. And the last 4 games, many of them he's been pulled before the start of the 6th inning. And in those 4 games, last 4 starts, he's allowed 20 earned runs here. This is going to be my blowout special, under 5.5 runs here. So, not 5.5 runs, under 5.5 strikeouts for Zach Gallen here in his outing. He could get pulled 3rd, 4th inning with 2 or 3 strikeouts. So love the blowout special. Like I said, don't see him approaching 6 strikeouts at all.
And we'll see, too, because Zach Gallen has had his problems at home this season. So we'll see if that continues against the Giants tonight. Lee, taking a look back at what unfolded last night with our 3 bets. And we went 1 and 2, but we're going to start with the big win out of the gate because you nailed this one. The Pirates were off a sweep of the Mets this past weekend at home. The offense exploded, and now they got the St. Louis Cardinals in town last night, who are coming off a sweep also on the road against Cleveland. But you had the Pirates yesterday, the big blowout, 7-0. Andrew Haney was terrific. The offense continues to roll. What did you see now in retrospect from that game, why you liked it so much in backing the Pirates?
Well, I thought they were dominating over the weekend. Maybe unlike almost any other time we've seen the last 3 or 4 years for this team. And I see them starting to gain confidence. They got a couple guys in the lineup, younger players that are starting to hit, and the pitching and the defense is coming around. So don't sleep on the Pirates here for the next 10 games.
And the Pirates, we'll see what happens tonight. They have Paul Skeens in the mound if they keep up their winning streak. Now, as far as the losses, we got to address the wins, but also address the losses. And we'll begin with Trey Turner. You had his player prop last night. It unfortunately didn't hit. He did have 1 hit in the game, just couldn't get that second one. But Turner did have opportunities, though. He
did. He was hitting the ball hard and almost came up with a 5th at bat. So that's one of the reasons we put him out there. We just thought that he would get 4 and maybe 5 at bats, and felt after getting a hit in his last at bat, he probably would have gotten a hit a game, but wasn't the case. But came close. He had an RBI, and he's a player that makes Philadelphia so good.
Now, as far as I go, Lee, with the bet a little, win a lot bet, I took the Royals in the first 5 against the Mariners. I thought it was a good spot, fading Seattle off that long road trip. They played 3 extra inning games in Texas to wrap it up. And the Royals actually led 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th, got the first 2 outs. So I figured, all right, get out of this, win 1-0 after another inning. But Michael Wacha allowed a solo homer, made it 1-1, then loaded the bases. Luckily got out of that, avoided disaster. But then in the bottom of the 5th, he loaded the bases with no outs. Cal Raleigh, who has been terrific this year with all of his home runs, got a sac fly, put Seattle ahead. They scored more runs, didn't matter after that. But it was so tough because he allowed 7 of 8 runners on base after recording the 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. Lee, we were like at the finish line there. We were that close, and he couldn't close it out. And again, you score 1 run, doesn't help either. But that close to maybe the Royals cashing against the Mariners.
Well, there's 2 sides to that. Also, we could have won. We could have blown it open in the 4th inning. We had runners on first and second with 2 outs, and we're starting to hit their pitcher, Kirby. And in the past, earlier in the year, since he came back, that's when he had trouble. Soon as teams started to score, he gave up some outings where he gave up some huge numbers. And one more hit, we might have been scoring 3 or 4 runs. And then on the other hand, things just fell apart. So very close in both of the losses, but feel confident we're going to get on the right side today.
Yeah, and now WNBA is back tonight. The Commissioner's Cup is the championship, Lee. I know you've been following it the whole time, but we do have a hidden gem for this evening.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
A lone WNBA game tonight, Indiana at Minnesota. Very good matchup, but the key here is Caitlin Clark. She's missed the last 2 games with a groin injury. She's questionable for tonight, so we'll see if she suits up against the Minnesota team who has the best record in the WNBA at 14-2. And it's obviously a big game in the league just for exposure purposes. But my hidden gem for tonight, this will be a fast one. First quarter, I like the under of 41.5 between the Lynx and the Fever, and here are the reasons why. Number 1 with Minnesota, excellent defensively. They've allowed 19 or less at home in the first quarter in 7 of 8 games. So they definitely have been very good on that end. Now, as far as Indiana goes, they shot absolutely lights out in their last game against Dallas without Caitlin Clark. They led 33-13 at the end of the first. They were 13 of 16 from the floor. That's not happening again. And they're playing a much better team tonight. Also, the Fever 4-2-1 to the under in the first quarter without Caitlin Clark. So if she doesn't play, they've been a good under team. Now, I have this, Lee, that I got to throw out because for whatever reason, Indiana is the best 3-point defensive team in the first quarter in the WNBA, allowing opponents to hit 20% of their shots. So Indiana's done a good job at that. Now, when Caitlin Clark doesn't play, opponents are 3 of 22 from long distance in the first quarter. Just a crazy stat how they have been that good on the perimeter. Now, Minnesota, they've allowed the second fewest free throws in the first quarter as well, 44, so they don't foul a lot. And also Indiana's allowed 20 or less in the first quarter on the road in 6 of 8 games. So even if Caitlin Clark does not play tonight, still very comfortable with the under in the first quarter of 41.5 between the Fever and the Lynx.
I like it a lot. Kevin, this is going to be the first WNBA game that I bet all season. You convinced me. I think I watched maybe a few highlights. That's it. So I'm going to be tuned into this game. And if as soon as you get it, if you bet it, and let's say she doesn't play, the bet's even better. The number's going to go down. So I'm on it right now, and I think you're going to cash.
Yeah, and you know what? I just think that this team is used to playing without her if she doesn't play. And also, too, I believe the number 2, if she ends up playing, the last 3 road games, I think it's 1 of 22 from 3 for Caitlin Clark. So she's been horrible from 3-point range on the road. So if she does play, she struggled from 3-point range. If she doesn't play, they're a good under team in the first quarter. So I'm going to go regardless of her status tonight and take the under in the first quarter between the Fever and the Lynx. Coming up, we do have several more bets to get to. We got the lock of the day. Yesterday, it was the Gators and the over on their win total today. Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Weird to put that together, but we're going to talk about that. And also another baseball game we're going to look at between the Tigers and the Nationals. All of that is coming up right here on Locked On Bets. Let me tell you now about FanDuel. And FanDuel is amazing. Summer sports are in full swing. And whether you're about unders in baseball, whether you're about golfing, whether you're about high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. And we already know that you're following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? And with FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. And here's some great things about FanDuel. I love it because you could track your favorite matchups. Also, there's so many different ways to bet. There's so many things on there, from futures, Super Bowl, Heisman, college football national championship, Stanley Cup, NBA championship for next year, Rookie of the Year with Cooper Flag. You can do all of that. And also NFL Week 1, college football Week 1. If you feel the need to do it now and bet on football, you can do that. And the same game parlays, so many options on FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. First bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. As we continue here on Locked On Bets, the Tuesday baseball card, and a big one in D.C. The Detroit Tigers, they have been just unbelievable this season. Tarek Skubal with a shutout on Sunday against Minnesota, but now a tricky spot, interleague game, as they head to Washington to take on the Nationals.
What the fuck?
WTF.
I mean, come on, it's easy, Lee. The Tigers going to D.C. to face the Nationals. Detroit has to win this game, right or wrong?
Well, one of the best betting angles is fading a team off of a big Sunday night game. Often we see letdowns, and Detroit played on Sunday night for the first time since 2017. Skubal was, absolutely putting on a show in that game. So I think they're feeling great about themselves. They feel, hey, we're playing Washington. No one watches Washington games. No one bets the Washington Nationals. Now, Tigers are going to turn to Jack Flaherty, whose return to the Tigers has been more than unimpressive. It's been horrific. 2-5 in his 7 road starts. In fact, they've been outscored 28-9 in the last 3 starts on the road. Washington starter Trevor Williams, if you look at his ERA, and this is important, a lot of amateur handicappers, they look at ERA based on whether they're going to make a decision whether they back or go against a pitcher. It's got an ERA of 5.65, not good at all. But it's a 4.21 expected ERA. And then, have you ever heard of FIP before, Kevin?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. It's fielding and independent pitching. Measures your ERA, and it takes into account also the dimensions of the ballpark, where a ball would go based on average dimensions, and defense. If you look at that, his real ERA is 3.85. On top of that, Detroit's best hitter, Kerry Carpenter, number 3 hitter in the lineup, best hitter versus righties by far. He's going to be out tonight. So I talked about this for many years, layers. There's so many layers, not 1, 2. There's like 4 or 5 different layers to their game, and that makes me like the game even more here. Detroit's been the darling of bettors here in Major League Baseball so far. I think things are going to turn around. Not tonight. Wrong team favored. Washington Nationals. Can you believe it? You got to back them tonight, plus the 130.
And also, what I like too, Lee, is the Nationals are home from this long road trip, but they had the day off in between. They did win on Sunday over the Angels, so a little bit of momentum. And like you said, with Detroit, they're off this big primetime victory, division game against Minnesota. Now you got an interleague matchup against a Nationals team that is not going to probably win the National League East. So definitely a letdown spot for this Tigers team. So now we lead all the way up to the lock of the day, and what it is, again, like yesterday, no baseball. We're going to look at college football, and what we love too is the biggest story we've seen in college football in the offseason.
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Far the most intriguing storyline, Lee, in the college football offseason has been Bill Belichick getting hired at the University of North Carolina to coach a Tar Heels team, replacing Mac Brown, who did a pretty good job there for a long time. But Belichick, who seems like couldn't get a job in the NFL, so he went the college route. And his girlfriend, she's making a lot of the headlines too. We want to see if Belichick can win without Brady at this level. Just so many layers with the Tar Heels in the ACC, where they're not the favorite. But as far as a win total goes, where are you leaning with the Tar Heels in this, in a sense, transition season in Chapel Hill?
Well, obviously, most people think it's going to be, number one, a transition season. They think that there's going to be a lot of distractions because his girlfriend, who knows what her exact role is there. But I think Bill Belichick is still a pretty darn good coach. I'm not saying he's going to be good 4 or 5 years from now. And Mac Brown, in his return, he did a good job until last year. I think Bill Belichick is a far superior coach to Mac Brown. So as many as 14 new starters will take the field, it looks like, for North Carolina. Most important position, quarterback. Gio Lopez. Most people have no idea who he is. They might think he's like a teen pop star. No, Gio Lopez was at South Alabama last year. Didn't even start in a couple games because of injuries, but he had 18 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. Now it's going to be a pretty new offensive line, 2 new offensive starters, transfers they brought in, but I think it's going to be upgraded. They allowed 33 sacks last year. I think they could be in the high teens, low 20s this year because Gio is very versatile running the football and escaping pressure. In fact, had almost 500 yards rushing last year, 5 rushing touchdowns. And on defense, you're looking at stats, and a lot of people just look at, hard numbers. 7 new starters. The entire defensive line and linebacking core is brand new. But one of the things I look at on defense, you need at least one key player at all 3 layers: defensive line, linebacker, and also defensive back. And I actually think that they have it. They have this kid named Bryce Yates from UConn, 12.5 career sacks. Most people don't know him because he comes from a lower level school. This kid is really good. You're going to find out who this kid is and what he's all about early and often. They have a good linebacker who tackles in space, not just sacks, makes a lot of tackles before the sticks that they brought over in the transfer portal. And Thaddeus Dixon from the University of Washington, I thought he was the Huskies' best defensive back last year. So I truly believe that Bill Belichick and his son Steve are going to do a masterful job on defense. They were able to do it for many years on New England with not many great players. Their schemes are unmatched, I believe, in college football and the NFL. And then here's the final layer here to why I'm picking this total. Let's look at the schedule. Clemson's at home. Other than that, they don't play any of the top next 6 teams projected finishing in the top ACC as far as order. They don't play Miami, don't play SMU, they don't play, FSU, don't play Georgia Tech. So, I mean, they play Cal and Stanford this year. How lucky are they? So you got to factor in schedule, coaching, and I think their players are going to be good enough here. We're going to go over 7.5 wins here, plus 135. I think that's the right side. It's going to be my level 2 lock.
I do believe too, Lee, that I think that with this North Carolina team, that they will do it because Belichick is not going to want to lose. Belichick is not going to want this to end his career like this.
I agree. I think he's going to shock everyone. I think he's not going to have 8 wins. I think he'll have 9 or 10.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the case. Now let's wrap this thing up, Lee. Another good episode today. Really enjoyed this. And what do you have going on at Paramount Sports?
Well, you want to get involved. The football's up. We're in July already. July 31st is the kickoff. Like I said, we've got the Hall of Fame game. So don't miss out. We've won 5 of the last six years in preseason. Like to build the bankroll. You want to get involved. Get everything through the Super Bowl. This is my phone service. 1997. There's a lot of services out there charging $4,000 or $5,000 and they don't win. We've won 30 of the 31 years I've been in business. So 1997, you can order it at ParamountSports.com, or you want to try us out for 10 days of our player props where we text them to you daily, just $50. Check out everything. It's up and available, ParamountSports.com, or you can always call me. Love to speak to you personally. Now's the time. If you've been with another service or you're doing it on your own, you want some guidance, that's what we're here for. 800-400-9741.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel here, Locked On Bets, and we appreciate it.